There's a lot to think about when it comes to eclipse photography. I'm gonna cover it all in today's video. Now, my name's Austin James Jackson. I'm a professional landscape photographer based in southern Utah, but in today's video, we're out here in Death Valley National Park. No, we're not in Joshua Tree. I know you see this huge Joshua Tree behind me. We are in Death Valley National Park, and I'm gonna be shooting tonight what is going to be a lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse. The planning process is very similar for each eclipse, whether it's solar or whether it's lunar. So this video is going to encompass it all. Now first, let's talk about the planning part, and then we'll dive into what I'm looking at in the field. So the app that I'm gonna use that I think is just the gold standard, this isn't sponsored at all, but pretty much everyone's using it, is called Photopills. You're gonna wanna download that. I think it's like 10 bucks or something like that. But this is gonna give us all the information we need for the eclipse for either solar or lunar. I'm gonna bring my phone screen up on the screen here so you can see what I'm doing. First thing that you wanna do is go into Planner. Now, if you're sitting at home on internet, you'll see something on the planner. I'm out in the field, so I don't get access to this data here in the middle, but that is totally okay. We don't actually need it. So if you're already watching this video, likely you already know about an eclipse that's happening. So you'll scroll over on the top under Planner, and you will click to load an eclipse. Now you can go through here and select whichever eclipse you want. So I'm obviously at the 3/13/25 total moon. I will go ahead and select that. Now total lunar eclipse for March 13th is loaded up. Now if I swipe one more, this gives me times for when that eclipse starts. And then on the bottom, I can drag the timeline. You can see I'm already on 3/13/2025 on the bottom right, and I can see when the eclipse starts. So you can see right there at 10:10 or so, the eclipse begins. But really totality, which is what I'm interested in for this lunar eclipse especially, doesn't begin until 11:26. You can see in the top left there, you've got that little symbol of the sun that is blocking the moon, or the earth that's blocking the moon rather. Now that is exactly what we're looking for. So I know what time it's going to be at. Now the other thing to consider, when you look at all of the lines here, this blue line that's on the bottom at about 5 o'clock here, as I slide this, that shows me which direction the moon is going to be at the time. Now if I was doing a solar eclipse, I would look for that orange line just like that, but I'm doing lunar, so we're looking for this blue line. You'll see as we slide that around, I can know which direction it's going to be in roughly, which is helpful to an extent, because if you're going to go to a location, you likely know kind of which way it shoots. And so I know now that this is going to be kind of in the southeast, which is perfect. Now, the one thing that you need to think about is how high up is that moon going to be when I am shooting it. Just like with the sun, if the moon is not near rise or set, it's going to be higher up in the sky, depending on what time of night it is. You know, obviously the moon starts low, arches, gets higher, and then sets. Same thing with the sun. So if you're shooting a solar eclipse in the middle of the day, it's going to be very similar to my lunar eclipse, which is kind of in the middle of the night. Now that's important to note because it's going to affect what kind of photos you can get. So when I'm out here shooting tonight, I'm not going to be able to get those photos where maybe there's something really big on the horizon silhouetting the moon. And this is because the moon is so far up, I can't find anything that's high enough in order to capture that type of photo. So I can either just shoot the moon with a 300 or 600 millimeter lens and just capture that and be happy with that, or I can try and find some sort of foreground and shoot wide angle. Important thing to know about a solar or lunar eclipse is if you shoot wide, it's going to be really, really small in the sky unless you want to really fake it. And you can budget just a little bit and keep it looking realistic, but I'm sure you guys have seen some wide angle photos with moons that fill the whole frame and you can just tell it's not realistic. I want to help you avoid doing that because I just think it's not a good look. Keep that in mind when you think about what kind of photo you're going to be able to shoot, and realistically think about in your head what kind of photos you're going to be able to get, because I knew all along when I came out here for this lunar eclipse, I would love to find a tree that I could silhouette in front of the moon, but unfortunately there just is not a hill steep enough because the moon is just so far above me. I'd have to basically find something that I'm looking straight up into, which just wasn't going to happen out here in the desert. It's relatively flat. So because of that, the kind of shot that I'm after in front of this tree now is it's going to be a little bit wider of a shot. So we've done all our planning at home. Then you're going to go out into the field. I'm here right now. So now I'm going to find my compositions. On the very bottom, you can click Night AR. That brings up the augmented reality. Now this is really cool here, what you can do with augmented reality. So as I scroll through, we said the totality was going to be about 11:30 to and it lasts a couple hours. So now I can look up at my subject and I can see where it's going to be. Now this doesn't necessarily show me how big the moon is going to be because it's going to be a lot smaller than that, than what I'm looking at here. But I can keep that in mind of roughly where it's gonna be. It's gonna be kind of in that hole in that tree, which is why I have my tripod set up here. I know that if I back up, the moon gets a little bit higher in the tree, and if I go forwards, the moon might get lost in the tree. So this can help me to kind of set up or get a rough idea of where I need to be. And this is something that I already scouted out before I started this video. I would always recommend scouting this out as early as possible, because if this tree didn't work, you know, there's thousands of other trees out here to choose from. I don't want to be figuring that out as the totality is hitting. For a lunar eclipse, you do have a little bit more time since the totality lasts quite some time. But for a solar eclipse, you literally have like 2 to 4 minutes, depending on the eclipse. So you really want to make sure that you have your ducks in a row and your composition set up. So that's really how I go about finding my composition. I know what my shot's going to be. It's going to be this tree with a really small moon up there in between. It's going to be red, so it's going to have some nice contrast in it. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you are taking a shot like this, I'm always going to recommend to take a blue hour image, which is where you're going to shoot a photo well before it's actually dark. You're not going to shoot it when it's sunny out still. And this is really just for lunar eclipse photography, because for solar eclipse, you're going to be shooting it during the day. But for a lunar eclipse, I want to make sure to take a blue hour photo. That way I can blend it in later, because what you're going to notice is once that moon actually comes out, I'm not going to be able to get any details in the foreground because the moon is too bright, the foreground's too dark. I can't get enough dynamic range. So this is almost like doing an HDR blend, but instead of doing it all at once, click, click, click on the camera, you're going to do it like a few hours before. So as soon as the sun goes down, I'll take my blue hour shot here, which I'll post here so that you can see. And then after that, it's just a waiting game. We wait for the moon to come out, wait a few hours. So I think right now we've got about 4 or 5 hours. So I'm gonna go get a little bit to eat, hang out, relax, and wait for the moon to come up. All right, well, it is freezing, but we made it. The alignment is just perfect in between this tree, just like we thought it would. Now, whether you're shooting a solar or a lunar eclipse, it's important that you really have your settings dialed in. Now, if you're shooting before or after totality, your shutter speed is going to need to be faster before or after the actual totality, and you're going to need to slow it down during totality when the sun or moon respectively gets darker. So that's what I'm doing right now. For a solar eclipse, obviously your time frame for totality is so much less, so you really got to have your stuff dialed in. For lunar eclipse, you usually have a little bit more time to play around with it. So that's what I'm working on right now. So it's really cold out here. I'm going to grab my shots and get back in my sleeping bag, go to bed. But that is what I'm doing out here in the field. It's absolutely beautiful out here and freaking stunning. All right, that was a long and cold night. I went back down the hill now. Now that the eclipse is over, you can see it's cloudy, so the eclipse came just in time. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Hopefully it helps you to plan your eclipse, whatever eclipse you are looking at. And I may create an eclipse editing video in the future. If that's something you'd be interested in, let me know down below in the comments. Otherwise, if you're serious about improving your photography, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is Austin James Jackson. We'll see you guys next time.